Yesterday we got introduced to name pending.
Oh yeah, he's here. He's asleep though.
Okay, chillin'.
He's asleep.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't even get him out. He's so in there.
You're just pouched. That is an accessory, by the way.
He is so in there that I can't even get him out.
You have equipped an accessory. It is in the 4th slot of your inventory.
I took him out today, and everybody on the street petted on him because he's so cute and sweet.
Yeah, no.
It is a kangaroo pouch, but with less mucus.
I was describing to Punch Mom. I was like, yeah, and so like because he's like hobbling around, they're gonna get wheels, and she's like, aw, and I'm like, in the front, and she's like, aw! In the front. It was the double. I was like, the aw.
Yeah, because he's gonna have to have like a chest plate.
Yeah. No, you can see the moment that like the diabetes kicks in, the level of sugar. Oh.
Yeah.
But yes, I was going to take the opportunity to describe some of my adventures over the last week.
Oh yeah, what's up, bro?
So there has been lots of suggestions, lots of I suppose confusion as well as to like what exactly happened with my setup and what exploded and why and where and how, and
all of it.
Yeah,
all at once,
and a lot of misinformation. Not that any of this matters, of course. But
so I have to like, from somebody. I mean, I talked to you a little bit about it, right? But you going like to me right before the podcast that everyone's exaggerating the tech problems, only for the podcast to straight up die an hour later, was really funny.
It was, and to then have people go, "Oh my god, it extends to the internet," and it's like, God damn it, that was just a completely unrelated but random, unfortunately timed sequence of events, right? And that's actually kind of what this whole thing is, the sequence of events, because most people, so I understand the jump to the conclusion in a lot of cases though, because most of the time if someone's talking about like, oh, a streaming setup or a PC or something, you go, oh, you're like, you assume it's all happening from the same thing, so if something's going wrong, it's going wrong across the board, right? But what I've learned over this is gonna probably be repeated when I need to at some point in the future, but what I've learned over the course of recording from Best Friends was to compartmentalize everything as much as possible and have your fail state like have a limit to how far and how bad it can destroy everything.
I want to say, I think it's really funny that I took the complete opposite path on that.
Yeah,
because my lesson from that is to actually have as few moving parts
as possible. I see. Yes. That is.
So the only thing that can break here is this mixer and that computer. I have two pieces.
That is one way to go about it, right? I always had a preference for the redundancies, and I remember.
Well, that's what this backup mixer.
Yeah,
sitting right next to it.
Yeah, I've got my backup mixer there too, but mind you, like they do, like there's some stuff with the potentiometer that like the quality changes and you can get some flickering. You remember how we used to go through those, right?
Oh yeah. This one's lasted a while, but of course these specific types that I like and that I think we both still use they got really hard to buy after the pandemic because everyone and their stupid idiot brother started a fucking podcast.
Yeah, I still have my good two, but then I did have to get different ones as well for the other setup. But I remember when I was like, yo guys, we need to start using these backup recorders for the audio, and you guys were like, yeah, okay, and I was like test it out, and it worked and it's good, and I was like, yeah, and then every time it'd be like backup recorder, and you guys would be like, nah, fuck that shit, right? I'd be like, it's your funeral if the thing, because the feeling of losing a day of recording and having it go into the ether
ruinous
is so abysmal. It's such.
Well, that's one of the things that like one of my favorite things since like we moved to streaming damn near everything on Twitch is that like there's a de facto backup recording because live
unless for unknown random reasons there isn't.
So
it's all part of the story.
I have lost one thing ever that's gone. Just gone. And it is an hour and a half of FF7 remake.
Okay.
That the local recording died and Twitch's VOD died.
Yeah. Okay. That's crazy.
And then I replayed it and re-recorded it like a solo thing, and I finished FF7 remake before someone reached out to me to let me know that I didn't actually replay the whole section that was missing. So there's a gap in those YouTube archives.
Interesting.
Where it just teleports forward.
Okay. I don't think, from my memory, I don't think I've lost anything since Best Friends. I think I've had everything caught in some way, shape, or form, because you just never know, right?
Well, the important thing is that all of the stuff that we make is shit. So if it does get lost, it's not the end of the world.
It is not the end of the world, no, I suppose. But to this degree, it is, and I think there's an important distinction here too as well. You primarily are Twitch focused. I primarily am YouTube focused, and that changes our goals and what we create and how, right? The secondary becomes deprioritized in that nature. So so all this to say that, like, it's just it's wild how things just kind of lined up for, like, anti-Kismet, like, because it starts with the day that I streamed Phoenix Wright last Monday. I went, okay, I've been wanting to do a little refresh, right? Do a little 2025, right? Ahead of time. The little update to things. So got a little been working on, obviously you've seen I've been improving the lighting setup over here. I've been working on, trying to just, bunker down on the layouts and the stream and, other things as well. And even just bitrate if possible, connection things, etc. Looking at all of that stuff. And shout outs to Jimmy Bones, who, a good friend, was able to help me out with some suggestions for improving the stream layout and reducing some load from the CPU in, like, kind of shifting some of the way that I display animations around and stuff. You can do some things that are, like, browser based to take away the load from the actual OBS. But it was interesting because I did that stream and introduced a new frame, which has a little bit of an animation to it. And I introduced the new loading screen, which has the ability to play songs off of Spotify, which has a much larger thing.
I saw that the other day. It was cool.
Yeah, and furthermore, it's not going to get copyright dinged because none of it hits the VOD. So it's isolated, right? So that's tech that people have known about for a while. Just using that so that we can just get better music out there and have more fun while not worrying about the impact. Plus, I'd rather do that than play the MP3s off my desktop, which can lighten some of the OBS load, right? So that all works out, except for, basically, even though that stream was totally fine, there was some hiccups we noticed on the next stream because the difference between loading in some animations where originally there were static images, it turns out, was creating just enough extra CPU load that things started to stutter. And a lot of the optimization that he was showing me and stuff that was good if you had most of your tasks being handled by the GPU, which I did not have my OBS set to. I was doing it all on the CPU because I didn't have...
Really?
Yeah, my stream setup did not have a particularly... it wasn't a strong one. It had... So it was set up... It was a gaming PC, but it didn't have, like, a particularly crazy...
It didn't have a new NVIDIA card.
Exactly, right? So everything was going on X264, which essentially just means that the CPU is what's handling it. So what happens there is... you end up seeing the CPU spike go up while streaming. That leads to some stuttering. That leads to, the video getting choppy or the game and things like that. And all these, undesirable effects. And the solution after streaming I'm jumping all over the place a little bit, but like I streamed Cyberpunk, and then I tried to stream 1,000 times Resist, and saw some stuttering, and we kind of went like, okay, the stuttering is getting too bad. Let's cancel and fix that. The solution would have been to either revert to a very simple flat image only layout, or get a better system that actually has a proper GPU that can handle the load, right?
Because a newer NVIDIA card, I've been using those for a while, makes OBS like super simple, because it's like I want to say it's like a 1% performance loss on a GPU task.
So the magic comes from, and this is the first good thing I can say about fucking Windows 11.
Damn.
But Windows 11 has GPU scheduling.
Yes.
And that is a feature that was supposed to work in Windows 10, but did not work properly, but works properly in Windows 11. And what that does is just completely offloads the stress to your graphics card and leaves your CPU clean, right?
So the irony is that since I moved to Windows 11, I've had some annoyances as a user.
Yep. Tons.
Right? But as doing like podcast and stream stuff, it's actually been way smoother,
right?
Like the ability to like hold up like a window to the top of the screen, and then it auto sorts all of them into clean little boxes.
Yeah,
saves me like 10 minutes a day.
I kind of been I was doing that with 10 anyways, and I over time I do realize that I'm like, every time I get a Windows and whatever, there's all this bloat, and you have to spend a while bloating it, right? But anyway, so 10 had this feature, but the feature wasn't working properly. So you know what? Let's go get a new system. So I bought a new laptop for streaming, and you know, this one in particular has its 32 gigs of RAM, and it has its RTX 4080, right?
Oh, you mean the bare minimum amount of RAM to play Stalker 2?
Sure. But what's important to note here, and what I was kind of getting at earlier, is that when something's happening with the computer that the game is running on, that has nothing to do with what's happening with my stream. They're completely separate computers from each other. It's just a video feed going from one to the other. So the thought that like Cyberpunk blew the stream up or so is like, no, none of these setups are touching each other.
Yeah, the stream PC died by itself.
Yeah. So that was the improving the stream by putting the little extra doodads and doohickeys on it led to the, oh shit, the CPU problem. Therefore, let's go get a better thing. And now that I have the 4080 in place, when I look at the CPU load and I have the scheduling on,
it's like 1%,
0.1%.
Yeah, it's nothing.
It is non-existent, right? Excellent.
It's night and day difference. It's ridiculous.
And that's all made so that you can run the game and stream from OBS without much worry on the same system. But the idea that I was seeing load stress while not running a game on the system, that's not great. That's bad. You know, that was a clear indicator that something's off there. So what I discovered in that process was that something I had looked out for and made my laptop, my previous streaming laptop options limited, was I always wanted one that had the ability to take a line in, a microphone and headset, right? They don't do that anymore. They just don't. No. Even the best, even your highest USB end are all just going, and obviously line in is, I don't want to go through USB if I can avoid it. You want your line in quality. And so, you know, using an optical or having the port be like turning a headphone port into a mic in port. It's like there's problems with that setup, because sometimes if I have a Discord call in, we need to be able to listen to ourselves. It's a sophisticated setup where basically I need to do a lot to make it sure so that a call from a Discord can land on our mixer. We can hear it, the audience can hear it, but it doesn't get recorded with the game, which is also being recorded, you know? So all these hoops and nonsense to say that thankfully the mixer that I have a visualizing like board that like has a line in that I had to set up. So it took a day to figure out a lot of this stuff, and I repositioned all of that. So yes, new laptop is in place. Everything works with that. That's great. Shout outs to the streamline of people that are all so annoyed at Windows 11's fresh installations that they just have like a bunch of like command prompts, things you can run to delete.
Turn that shit off.
Yeah, just delete all this bullshit. And you know, Windows 11 pushing things like, here's the gallery, here's the home view, here's this or that, or here's the thing where we put the start menu in the middle and try to make. I'm like, fuck all that, leave me alone. Classic shell.
Put the start menu in the bottom left, please.
Put it in the bottom corner. When I click it, pull up a fucking start menu. I don't want any of that shit. And thankfully, yeah, everybody agrees as well and has like set it up so that you can get past most of that bullshit. So that is where the stream was at. Oh, yes, and as far as the stream goes as well, because of all of that improved stuff, then yes, we can stream at 8,000 bitrate and be solid. So absolute maximum quality on all of that output as well. Took the opportunity to redo all the lighting as well. So the lighting that you're seeing over here on the podcast, I also have kind of going over there. And we have a bit more to consider because there's a screen in front of us. And
that new bitrate is killer.
Yes, it's very nice. I do like that. And also, I know that like we do have a little bit of extra leeway as partners because
I have. So if you go get that, are you part of the Twitch enhanced broadcaster beta?
I don't think so.
Okay, because if you're in there and they flag your account, I forget where you apply, but you could find it fairly easily. You can run that shit at 18,000 kbps, like high as fuck.
Okay.
And it will kick your shit out at 1440p.
God damn.
And I tested that for a couple days, and it looks awesome. With one very extreme problem. And that is that Firefox users it caps out at 720p instead.
Oh,
because Firefox doesn't support the codec that they're using.
So does it just not show you, or does it downscale?
So what it does is that if you're watching it on Chrome, you are able to watch 1440p 60, and it looks really, really good. And if you're watching it on Firefox, it's at regular 720p downscale 60, and it looks fine.
Okay.
And then if you try to export the Twitch VOD from Twitch to YouTube, it breaks, and YouTube goes, I don't know what to do with this.
Okay. Sorry, Flareon users. That sucks. That's unfortunate. Why couldn't it be like Edge that it didn't work on? You know?
It works on Edge.
Yeah, that sucks. Like, fuck that.
Because Firefox doesn't have like some kind of codec support that is required.
Okay. Well, in any case, I do know that like regularly 6K is the cap, but like I think partner gets to go up to 8 without perhaps that beta. So, I mean, we're talking about like quality that is approaching minuscule as we increase to that level, right? Like, I don't know that outputting in 4K is going to be standard just yet. But
4K is going to take it's going to be far away.
Streaming in 4K, you know, like, yeah.
So most people still, the top resolution I think is 720p actually, because people watch most people watch our shit on their phone.
Of course. And the other bit is that like all of these technology advances and stuff are built around the idea that like the landlines are not getting better, right?
Yeah.
You're finding more efficient ways to use garbage pipes.
Well, hey man, it's like gas mileage. Like gas mileage used to be like complete garbage until like federal regulations in a bunch of countries came down and said, "Hey, you could fucking do better with the gas mileage on these cars." And then as soon as that happened, all of a sudden, oh, hey, wow, hey, look at that.
Yeah.
Put a bunch of scientists on it, and wow, gas mileage is doubled.
Unless you're in Asia, in which case your internet is just fucking blinding you with its
but
FTL.
Asia's like small and compact.
Yeah.
No, Asia's not small, but I mean like urban centers are like very compact in that.
Yeah, Japan and Korean internet. Exactly, yeah. So anyway, that's all.
Asia's big, actually.
That's all nice and improved. So Cyberpunk, which then, yes, has just gotten this update.
Also improved.
It certainly did. And starting that out, I did a bunch of I did some like benchmark tests and set things up well in advance because I when I announced that I was like, hey, I was going to get ready to do Cyberpunk at some point in the near future. I went and started looking into configuration options to see what would work best with the computer, and what I landed on seemed to be the good, but then other opinions, about what to try.
Other opinions. I fucking hate those.
What to try and what not to try came in, and of course we're talking about tweaking PC settings on a game here, so that stuff can go heavy and go long and can end up taking up a whole lot of a stream where some people...
You can turn that shit up.
You can.
Real fucking high on Cyberpunk.
And some people are super down and love that, and some people hate that. And I'm just like, right, okay. So like, how do we, kind of split the difference here? And once crash starts to occur, you go, oh, okay, this is not
time to turn this shit down.
Well, this is not a matter of let's make it pretty. This is a matter of can we fucking make it work, right? When I see,
oh, hey, I'm gonna.
Yeah, when I see FPS,
negative a billion
or whatever. Yeah, I'm like, that's a bigger threat than should we have ray tracing on or not or whatever.
No, what
right?
you should do is if you have an NVIDIA card, you should put on DLSS and turn off frame generation. That's my backseat.
Everyone has said frame gen off, and that has sounded pretty convincing, etc. However, DLSS, guess what? No, hates it, doesn't like it, doesn't work, no good, bad.
Really?
Yep, off. Nope. Nuh-uh.
Wild. That's crazy.
So here, I can take a long time explaining this part, but I won't. Let's just get to the nitty-gritty of it. After
how's Cyberpunk?
So I enjoyed that first stream. I thought that was very cool. I also, I was describing how there's the mods and friends that have gotten together and like talked about like, hey, here's what you should probably take a look at, and here's what you can avoid to not bloat the LP up too much. And that stuff is, pretty nice and useful to have. But even kind of with that, there's an element of it where I'm like, ooh, I can feel here that, like, I'm looking at things and things are being said and, like, things are moving and happening in a game in a way that I'm like, shit, I, like, have a lot of missable dialogue moments and flavor that are going to just kind of come and go in this game for me. I can feel that it's really dense, and... instead of just pretending I don't see it and ignoring it and then having people go, they just said that, dude, what the fuck, how did you miss it? I'm saying in advance that I'm feeling like I the information wall, right? I also think I saw someone mention that this is my first open world RPG.
Is it?
And I'm like, what is that term then? Because it might be.
Okay.
I didn't play Skyrim or any of those Oblivions.
Okay. Did you play any Bethesda games, any Fallout games? Did you play anything by CD Projekt Red?
Is Elden Ring? No. Is Elden Ring? No, that's not going to. Okay.
No. Okay. I'm gonna break it down in the dumbest possible way. Have you played a game in which you are in a first-person perspective nearly entirely, in which you are doing RPG quests in a gigantic open world, and you have a skill tree?
Doing compliance on Deus Ex, but was not the same.
Okay, you played Deus Ex Human Revolution,
but
that's an immersive sim. It's pretty close.
But I have a line. I don't have the full game completion run. I have.
Oh, you never beat?
No, I have a specific test case run that I have of that game.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I didn't do the whole thing like that. We were.
Oh, then yeah, no, this is definitely your first of this genre. Then
okay, cool.
It's a good one.
All right. All right. Don't fucking scream at me for saying, don't call me crazy. I don't know. I'm legit asking. Like, I don't know that I've played any of these types of games before, I guess. Someone said, hey, it is, and I guess so it is then. Right?
I think that what I was about to say just left my brain, and now I look stupid.
Okay. So we wouldn't count the FromSoft games because you are doing not... Like, when you say RPGing... I guess we're talking about the, like, what? The more, like...
Did you play Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning?
Yes. A bunch of that in test as well.
Okay, that is by far the closest thing to Cyberpunk 2077. It's not that close, but it's the closest like touchstone that you have.
But I just to finish the thought, the reason why like you're saying that a Souls game doesn't count is because like it's not as much like character relationship
basically
and dialogue elements
bordering on nil, and it's interaction with combat is how do I put this? I don't. This is like one of those vibe things.
So dialoguing. The amount of dialogue you have to deal with in an Elden Ring game is
and going to shops and driving to stores and quest locations. Like
okay, all right. Tsushima is an action game.
Tsushima is a. Did you ever play Far Cry 3?
No.
Okay, so Far Cry 3 is the template for like every single open world game that came out after it. Like more than Assassin's Creed. It's Far Cry 3, like specifically the way that you kill like little animals in the environment to upgrade your fucking ammo quivers and shit like that. Tsushima, all the first party Horizon like Sony shits. Those are all just Far Cry 3 games.
Okay. Towers
Spider-Man
equals
like
open world. Okay. Well, I guess this person's assessment is probably on point then.
Cool.
Yeah, this will be a new experience then.
You're also entering into the Cyberpunk in a very strange way, similar to the way that you entered into Mass Effect. By the time you got to Cyberpunk and Mass Effect 3, they are fundamentally completely different games than they were when they came out.
Okay.
Like the amount of massaging and extra development that those games had compared to their release is enormous.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I played some Baldur's Gate 3. Didn't finish it. But I do have that.
No one did.
I do have that.
Shut up, New Millennium.
As well. So, anyway, yeah. So that's cool. I like new things. That's fun. But yes, all I'm saying is that I can feel here that the pace at which like characters and the world is happening and things are going on, I'm like, ooh, very very dense. Definitely the type of thing that I would be fine with off stream, but on stream the attention divide makes it it's going to be a lot. So. No ability to quickly check the log of dialogue or so is also, perhaps going to come in handy.
It's not going to come in handy. That. It's like hear it or don't, and that's it.
Yeah. So why haven't I finished Baldur's Gate 3? Well, with what time, my friend? it's a bit tricky. I would like to do it on stream if
I was about to restart Baldur's Gate 3 again, and then the day that I did, they announced 12 new subclasses. So
all this to say, the parts where things were working were awesome, and I really like I think I designed a cool character, and I like the setup, and I like going corpo as an option there.
I also went corpo. It is definitely the best start. It has the longest intro. It's the most interesting.
That sounds like, just of the three, that sounds like a fun, interesting perspective on the city to pick up. If we're all going to land in the same place, it just sounded the most interesting. And I'm happy that people lost their bets on which I would pick. And I'm happy that Reggie was like, blah! Because I'm like, nah, of these three settings, starting in the fucking rat race in the tower absolutely sounds like a wild thing to then fall to the streets from, Yeah, it just sounds like the most interesting. But we'll find out, I guess. I've also seen people making reference to the fact that it doesn't come back in nearly much of an impactful way.
No, what happens once you get into the main game is 99% of the game is written as if you pick the Street Kid storyline. And then you'll get a quest that is like, remember that you're a corpo? And you're like, yeah.
Okay. So that's all cool. Bit of so yeah, those crashes, rough. Saw a couple of them. Everyone saw them while they were on stream. And it was like, okay, let's get into, damage control mode and see what we can do here about this. And again, fortunately, the stream could keep going while the gaming PC figured out what was happening there. So to that end, some initial kind of Mass Effect LP vibes, in the sense that there is a number of people that are just like so what's with the mods? Why even do that first time, etc.
I actually spoke to Asna about that exact question, and they told me the mods, and they were really minor.
They're extreme,
very, very quality of life convenience,
pretty much. And that's why I kind of wanted to show them up front, because it was like, this is not that big of a thing, right? It should not be, at the very least. If you are just on the outside going, oh, something is exploding, that must be it. If you don't know and you're just throwing a dart, then you're going to jump to that conclusion. But it is fairly minor. And here's the thing. I can back that up, because guess what? Turned mods off, booted that shit up, still crashed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay? Uninstalled mods, went back in, played with video settings, still crashed. Nothing to do with them. So throw that entire theory out. That's founded in nothing. I continued tweaking within the settings to see what I could figure out, and like what would smooth it out. And ran into some really ugly ones. In particular, for some reason, ray tracing off caused crashes sooner than being on. And I was like,
that is dating back to the game's original release. It is super weird. I don't get it. But yeah, I've had. The game is like more stable with ray tracing on.
So then folks were like also talking about how they're like, oh yeah, I remember in the less stable version of this game, those same crash points as well. Like, these are some things that people had talked about, like saying that.
Yeah, the tutorial has a tendency in the VR sections to fall apart.
Yep. And so that's where I loaded my save in for a lot of these tests. And that's where I was testing and seeing it fall apart the worst. Right. Okay. So in that, it's like, all right, well, to be fair now, I'm thinking about how like mouthwashing had that weird crash in it the other day. And
yeah, which was awesome as fuck.
It was awesome. It was a pretty good value add. But nonetheless, it's like, okay, is it the computer? Is there something going on here that I need to? And it's like, the game has been notoriously launched in a shitty shape, but it should be fine now. People have not seen issues on their end, so let's look into it. So here's what I do. I update, of course, all the NVIDIA settings and all the latest drivers and everything to just go full overhaul of that. Setting NVIDIA to optimize creates the worst working version
yeah, don't do that.
ever, by the way. So immediately just on test, I'm like, oh, let me click on the optimize and run. No, fuck that. Doesn't even get to the goddamn title screen. So on optimize, let's go back to the settings I had to. Okay. Driver updates, etc., all that. Fine, we're good to go. Let's see how the computer's doing. So benchmark. I benchmark with Prime 95. I use 3D Mark and get a bunch of extended tests and get results from that. Memtest 86. I run FurMark. I run Crystal Disk Mark. I do...
You're running fucking FurMark over here? You were very serious.
Every single possible test on every component of my computer to see if there are any identifiable problems that would be creating consistent issues across me Let's Playing. Everything passes, not a single issue to be found, no problems. I'm not overclocking. My temperature is not flying off the handle into the 90s or even really 80s. Everything's showing up green, under control, no problems. So
I think overclocking might be the least worthwhile thing you can ever do to your computer. And before you guys with your ice rigs freak out, it's because so much over the past, like, it used to be super easy. Like, you want Half-Life 2 to run better and you have the cooling for it, fucking kick it up. Just fucking go in there and tweak the voltage, right? Mm-hmm. But now you've got these DirectX and all that shit where it's like, hey, my game is crashing constantly. Well, did you overclock it? Yeah. Don't overclock it.
Right.
The game is being built with the assumption that it's running on factory defaults, and it will just go crazy if it's running at weird fucking numbers.
Now, you've watched me sit there and spite fix like emulators that aren't working properly and games that don't work. I'm just used to that. I'm just used to sitting and tinkering with getting a thing working like that when it's not. But because I don't PC game very often, I haven't really done this much, and I'm just very used to being like, just fucking load up the console, keep it simple, right? But I do have that, and I have done this for other things. And like to turn a PC into a console, I will tinker aggressively, but not for the PC to like specific software, right? Hilariously, but anyway, all these tests show that everything is actually quite fine and that there are no issues to be detected there. So
that means it's Cyberpunk's fault.
I mean,
or it's your QA field.
Well, look, as a final bit, I went and I uploaded my cross-save shit to the account, and I got Cyberpunk for PS5 anyways.
Yeah.
And I booted it up, and I loaded my save, and guess what happened?
What happened?
The fucking console version of Cyberpunk crashed.
Well, that's okay. Well, that's rock solid then. That's that.
So I will not be gaslit. I will not be told otherwise. This game is built on Twix. It's built on string and leaves. And as far as I can tell, that's just going to be the state of it. It's like,
Woolie, could you just return the slab, please? Could you just fucking like and fucking say the prayer and just
the game is fixed. Is it, Idris? Is it though? Is it really though? I mean, look, man, I gave you the thoroughest breakdown I could of this system, this game, and everything. I have QA'd it. You talk about the QA field, right? I took a couple days here and I ran QA. The game is not fucking solid. It is not reliable. It has its problems, and there's nothing I can do about those.
That's Poland, brother.
All right? Okay. I hope everyone that hears this fucking gets it. So with that said, here is where now stability is found when, for some reason, motion blur turns off.
Okay.
I turn motion blur off, and suddenly I'm able to make it further and smoother than any other time.
That's weird.
Not the more intense features, mind you. Right? No idea. So, while I was playing it, some folks were like, I hate that shit, turn it off. I'm like, I don't even know how I feel about it yet.
I have never seen anything more contentious than me saying, I think I'm going to leave the motion blur off. And like a good 30% of the chat just starts vomiting into their own fucking floors.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand what the problem is.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to be like, I'm okay. When it's not being responsible for fucking the game not moving or issues happening or so, I don't even know how I feel about it yet. So I'm like, let me leave it on and see, and then if I feel what people's hatred is and I agree with it, then I'll turn it off. But I'm not just going to turn it off for no reason, just if it's not doing anything. But it turns out that for some reason now, the game has been able to go smoothly with that. Am I going to sit here and swear on that and say that that is the linchpin that's going to hold this whole fucking House of Cards together? No, I don't think so. But for some reason, I have not had a crash ever since I've left it off. Right?
Oh, I'm seeing people say that motion blur makes them sick. Well, just get better stomachs, guys.
Gotcha. Okay.
Got them.
So, the plan is to run it with that off, proceed as I have managed to do so. I'm also going to do a full, I got a suggestion to completely uninstall video card drivers and completely reinstall in case there's some...
Yeah, driver cleaner is the one to go for that.
In case there's some residue, right?
There is often actually some residue.
Okay, so we'll see about that. Yeah, I'm just going to run it this way and see how that goes. And at all times, I will have the PS5 version sitting there in the background,
just ready
to go, and that's an option as well. And that's it. That's the game plan.